From everywhere they're coming. They're the people's choice, the Saxon superstars.
Hello? Who's in the morning?
Now we're going to look at the right to freedom of peaceful assembly. Freedom of peaceful assembly is the right to gather for a common purpose. This can be done publicly or privately. It includes the right to participate in assemblies, meetings, protests, strikes, sit-ins, demonstrations, and other gatherings. International law only protects assemblies when they are peaceful. However, an assembly does not lose its peaceful character due to sporadic violence or unlawful behaviors of some individuals. The peaceful intentions of the people assembling should be presumed. No assembly can be banned on the assumption that it may turn violent. This right may not be denied to any one group. It is open to everyone. Even counter-demonstrators have the right to assemble peacefully. Exercising freedom of peaceful assembly should not be subject to the permission of the authorities. States may require notice, but not authorization. Since public peaceful assemblies are held to convey a message, they must be facilitated within sight and sound of their target audience. Under international law, assemblies may be subject to certain restrictions. However, these restrictions must be provided by law and meet a strict test of necessity and proportionality. All limitations to this right have to be justifiable in the interests of national security or public safety, public order, the protection of public health or morals, or the protection of the rights and freedoms of others. Restrictions should never impair the essence of the right. Freedom must be the rule and not the exception. So, to recap, states have the obligation to protect and fulfill the right to peaceful assembly and to take measures that facilitate it, enabling people's capacity to express their opinions. Freedom of peaceful assembly is an important means through which people can exercise their freedom of expression.
Good afternoon, my fellow Bahamians. I normally don't go live on a Friday because it is a time when most of you are enjoying a time after your long week. But this one is serious. We have good reason, good cause to interrupt your happy hour. The Prime Minister of this country has said that he has been threatened. The Commissioner of Police has said that the Commissioner of Police has said that the Prime Minister has been threatened. We want to make it categorically clear that we do not condone threats against any Bahamian in this country, especially the Bahamian who is our chief servant and who works for us and on our behalf, or is supposed to work for us and on our behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, we think it is wrong and we condemn the actions of anyone who would threaten any Bahamian, including the Prime Minister of this country. We think that the Commissioner of Police should take this matter seriously and, as he said, should throw the book at whoever did that. We, though, are very suspicious and we feel that they won't find the persons who did this for obvious reasons, which I will get to later. What we are also concerned about is the fact that we live under the rule of law, and the law must be fair. I have been under threat for the last 3 years for political reasons. I have been receiving threats under the previous administration and under this administration. Neither Prime Minister has taken this seriously or seen to it that this was investigated. Neither Commissioner of Police has taken this seriously or seen to it that this was properly investigated. We think that what is good for the goose is good for the gander, and fair is fair. What we also notice is the absolute silence by the prime ministers, the commissioners of police, and the leaders of the opposition when other activists or leaders of other political parties are threatened. However, that does not say that we see it as justification for what happened to the prime minister of this country. What also concerns us is that the commissioner of police would allow the media to lead him in questioning and lead him to allow them to imply that there may be some connection to the protests that happened on Wednesday and this incident. The commissioner started out his press statement, which I will let you hear in a minute. He started out his press statement by saying that there was a protest and connecting these threats to the protest somehow by leading out with that fact. We find it concerning, and we feel that the words of the commissioner can prejudice any possible case against the culprits who would do something wrong against the prime minister of this country. We are extremely concerned that the media, I will call them the fake media, because they have earned that name. I'm concerned that Eyewitness News led stories that called it a COI protest, when clearly coming up to the protest and demonstration, we made it clear that that was not a COI event. It was not a political event. It was an event for Bahamians to vent their concerns as it relates to illegal immigration. And another issue that came up just before that, the fact that our sovereign wealth fund was taken from us by the prime minister of this nation. We made it clear that this was for Bahamians. We partnered with other groups and other persons not politically connected, including Bahamas for Bahamians, which is an organization that existed far before the COI existed. And it is a non-political organization that made the decision that we are going to stand up for these immigration issues. And so for the media and Eyewitness News to be used as a tool to attack the COI on a constant basis, we think that it is an attack against democracy. We think that the media should not be used in this way. The media continued to state that. It actually shows that that media house does no investigation because they were there. So obviously they saw that we were having this protest. And if they saw that we had the protest, they saw it based on a live that I had where I made it abundantly clear that this was not political. Or they saw flyers that went out. And nowhere on those flyers did it say anything about the Coalition of Independence. It was for Bahamians. But the media is now being used to attack this organization because they see us as a threat. And we are that. We are a threat against corruption. We are a threat against illegal immigration. Let me continue. They're making implications that the threat is connected to some demonstrations. They connected a gentleman that was demonstrating who made some comment to the COI. They ran a story about this gentleman who made comments. They spoke to the Minister of National Security about this gentleman who made some comments. He made some comments that were to the effect of, I can't quote him exactly, were to the effect of, all of these police out here for Bahamians. It's like they want to kill us. They need to go and kill them. He did not say who the them was or didn't identify who the them was. But the Eyewitness News reporter of Haitian descent decided to link his words to try to say that he was threatening people of Haitian descent or Haitians. I did not get that from what he said. But not only did they do that, they also said that he was a COI supporter. The gentleman who in the video I saw making those comments, I have no idea who he is. I know him to be a COI supporter. And I find it distinctly evil that the media continues to do this. But of course, we understand that they're doing it because we are a threat. We are a threat to the corruption in this country that is being made manifest by the corruption and the fake stories being put out there now by the media. Let me make this abundantly clear. There were people who support openly the Progressive Liberal Party that were at this demonstration. There were known supporters, popular supporters of the Free National Movement who was there at the demonstration. No one was wearing a Coalition of Independence shirt or any paraphernalia. No one was wearing the paraphernalia of any political party except one lady who sat on the bench near the old cabinet building on the eastern side of where we were, wearing a PLP shirt, a yellow PLP shirt. No one else was wearing any paraphernalia. But the media is attempting to spin because they see us as a threat. We are a threat. We are a threat to corruption, to the evil that has been going on in this country, and a threat to illegal immigration. I'm going to let you hear the words of the Commissioner of Police himself so that you can come to your own conclusion. And then I will have a little bit more to say about this. I think we should assist the police by identifying those who may have been a threat to the Prime Minister. Since they think that there is a threat, then we're going to identify that threat. Before I let you hear the words of the Commissioner, I will tell you what we feel is going on. We don't think that they're going to find any suspects as it relates to this. And that's because we believe that a PLP supporter or a supporter of the government was instructed to make that call to the office of the Prime Minister because we told the government that if they don't do something about this illegal immigration situation, if they don't lock down our borders and go into the shanty towns, not just to break down homes, but arrest illegal immigrants and get them out of our country, that we were going to CARICOM and we were going to let the international community know that the Prime Minister of this country did not speak for us when he said that the Bahamian people were determined to solve the crisis in Haiti. When we have crises of our own, when we have an immigration problem of our own, the Prime Minister does not speak for us. He speaks for someone else. And because we told them that we're going to CARICOM, they had to find a way to raise their security levels. In international law, as you saw in the video that preceded this, it is unlawful for the government to stop any peaceful protest, whether they had notice of it or not. It is unlawful. And in my hand, I have the actual treaty that our government signed. This is the actual treaty signed by the government of Bahamas and 183 other nations. This is from the United Nations that gives us a right to protest and stipulates what the government can and cannot do. All protests must be allowed. All protests must be allowed in hearing and vision of the persons to whom the protest is directed. That is the international law that we signed. Barricades are not allowed to be put up at protests. Protesters must not be hindered in any way. That is the law, and it is in writing. Knowing this and knowing that the international community would be present while this is going on, and it might garner attention from the international community, the government is trying to find some way to justify having barricades or trying to keep protesters at an unfair distance, because they know that if they prevent this protest, that sanctions could be put on the Bahamas by the United Nations, by the United Nations, because of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which I hold in my hand. They know that the things that they do while the world is not watching, putting up barricades to hinder protests, asking protesters if they have permission, etc., they know that it cannot be done, that it is illegal, and that sanctions could be put on our nation, and that the protesters could sue them, and they could be forced to pay these protesters for violating their rights. I'm calling on all Bahamians, despite the tricks of the government, stand with me and be there with me. Our country is going down. Our country is falling apart, and we cannot let this happen. The media has been doing what they do best, because they don't have a leg to stand on, because our argument is that we love Haitians, we don't hate Haitians, but they are influxing the country right now, and that we are against all illegal immigrations, but we have a crisis right now as it relates to immigrants from Haiti. And we feel that they should come the right way. That is our stance. That is our only stance, that they should come the right way. And because the media can't argue against that, they start name calling. They start calling us names, xenophobic, and other decrepit names, because they don't have a leg to stand on. No one in media or in government or any sympathizer can say that we are wrong for saying that any illegal immigrant should come to this country the right way, for saying that no illegal immigrant should be allowed to come here and just take 500 acres of land in one place and 500 acres of land in other places. They should not be allowed to take our country over, because we are not allowed to do it. That is our stance. It is not a stance of hate. It is a stance of love. Love for our country, love for our people, and for the people who have come here legally, whether they are our permanent residents or persons who are here on proper work permits that they did not receive through corruption of this government. And so the media is fighting the Bahamian people. We will continue to stand. Everyone wants our land, but our land belongs to us. This land is my land. This land is your land. From Grand Bahama down to Inagua, from the Berry Islands across to Maguana, this land was made for you and me. I want to say to the Prime Minister and to the Commissioner of Police that we are here to assist you with investigating. The good part about the Coalition of Independence is it is led by two persons who are well-respected investigators on the police force, trained by the police force and by our college education. We are very good at investigations. And so instead of the media playing tricks and the government playing tricks to direct these threats at the Coalition of Independence, we feel that they should take a more broader look and a closer look. The problem with the Prime Minister is this Prime Minister has a very checkered past. And what do I mean by that? He was never convicted of anything, of any kind of wrongdoing. What I mean is his associations have been very checkered. And so anyone could want to threaten him. The Commissioner of Police says that this is not the first time that the Prime Minister was threatened. So why all of a sudden is there an issue? And why are you pointing it at the Coalition of Independence? The Commissioner of Police said this is not the first time that he was threatened. So what is the need for what you are doing? The Prime Minister was embarrassed by the fact that he had to have so many police officers surrounding him as he walks to and from the House of Assembly. This is the first Prime Minister to do so. He would refuse to have police officers around him as he went day to day. He had very few police officers that he allowed to be around him. He said, if I can't walk with my people, then I shouldn't be allowed to lead them. If I'm wronging my people, then they will speak out. He said, but if I'm doing right by my people, they will love me and I should be able to walk to them. I respect those words. I respect that mentality. But the Prime Minister who calls himself brave is now finding an excuse to have more and more protection. We put it to you that brave is not brave. You're finding a reason to protect yourself from your employers, from your people. Philip Brave Davis, do right by the Bahamian people, because we can tell you that we noticed that you went into the Haitian village with no protection, no one surrounding you. But to be around Bahamians, you need protection. That is concerning. Now, the Prime Minister has many possible threats. You'll remember that the Prime Minister's house, it was robbed by 3 young men. 2 of those young men, we are told, are now dead. One of them was killed by police. After he was killed by police, the case against them was dropped. Against all of them. Could it be that it's these criminals that are retaliating against the Prime Minister? And since the Commissioner of Police can make assumptions, we are making assumptions to assist them with their investigations, because they are looking in the wrong direction if they think that some member of the COI wants the Prime Minister there. No. We want to beat him healthy and alive. We want to defeat the old guard. We want to end the reign of Ingram, Christie, Davis, and COI. We want to bring a new Bahamas into this country where it benefits Bahamians and not everyone else. And so the Prime Minister's house was robbed. Who robbed the Prime Minister's house? Why was his house robbed? Why was he held up at gunpoint when he was acting as the acting Prime Minister at the time? He was Deputy Prime Minister. How is that possible? How could that happen? What robbers come to a house seeing government plates, DPM, police vehicles, and pulls gun and robs the police and robs the Deputy Prime Minister of the country? Could this be some kind of retaliation? We think that the police should start their investigation there instead of starting their investigation with the Coalition of Independence. The Prime Minister had many criminal clients over the years. Many of them. We have no idea which one of them may have had a problem with the Prime Minister. We think that the Commissioner of Police should direct the investigation there first. Get a list of names of all of these criminal clients that he has defended over the years, and see if any of them has had a problem with him, including the infamous drug dealer, Samuel 90 Knowles. The police need to see if Samuel 90 Knowles has a problem with the Prime Minister, and maybe he could have sent a death threat to the Prime Minister of this country. They need to see if the Whitefish brothers have a problem with the Prime Minister. after their court case where there was allegations that the Prime Minister interfered with their company that had $100 million by trying to take it over for himself allegedly. We feel that the Commissioner of Police should start there. We are not implying that any of these persons have done anything, but we think it would be a good line of questioning to start with. Maybe the Commissioner of Police should start with Peter Nygaard, who right now is in a prison, and see if they can question him to see if they can find out any information. Maybe the Commissioner of Police should start with Hirachi the Sheikh, whose building at one point Brave Davis' company was occupying, and see if there was any issues or bad blood there. I'm not implying any of these persons I just named, but I was naming them to assist the Commissioner of Police, who started with the ridiculous implication that a protest has something to do with death threats made against the Prime Minister of this country. We know your plots, we know your plan, and your plan is to justify increased security for the Prime Minister and to justify you having to put up barricades, etc., at CARICOM. We know that is your plan. We know that. And so we will make sure that the international community is aware of your tricks. Let's hear from the Commissioner of Police. And while I say this, and while I prepare to show you this, I'm calling on all Bahamians to stand with us, to stand with the people of the Bahamas. Again, we will apply. The difference with our groups and protests organized by myself and everyone else is we always apply for permission. Even though we don't have to by law, we always apply to the cabinet and to the Commissioner of Police in order to have our protests, always. And you will hear the Commissioner of Police say that permit was granted. We always do it the right way. And this is why we were concerned when standing outside of the House of Assembly, I was attacked by a police officer. This is concerning to me, and it was concerning to the United Nations Human Rights Committee. These things should not happen in this nation. But let's hear from the Commissioner of Police, and then I'll be right back to continue.
Thank you very much, Clinton. Good evening, Bahamas. You would have seen in the past 2 days on Wednesday evening on social media where a clip based on the protests downtown by Parliament, a group of individuals, and there's a clip out there in social media and an individual who was shouting to assassinate the nation's leader, Mr. Philip Brave Davis. Acts like this will only take the temperature to another level. And you saw that played out today. Shortly after noon, this afternoon, 2 anonymous calls, believed to be male, called in and made death threat to the Prime Minister. Officers responded, and we are now have a full-scale investigation that is ongoing at this time. We are following some significant leads with respect to those. Both calls came in, one right after the other, about 15 minutes apart, threatening to kill the nation's leader. We as Bahamian, it shouldn't happen. When you're talking about threatening the nation's leader, and we are, as Bahamians, how we got to this level and threatening individuals. Not only you could go beyond the Prime Minister, but individuals, and we take this very serious. We are now viewing the threat level so that we could put some additional security measures in place along with our law enforcement partner, the team here from the Defense Force. So we are on top of this, and we ask individuals who are out there or who may have intention to do that or who will try to continue to do just that to stop now, because we will go at you with the full extent of the law. It's a no-no, and it shouldn't happen. Not the nation's leader or anybody else. And we take this serious, and we will be able to update you with more information as we progress with respect to the investigation. I spoke to the Prime Minister a few minutes ago. He's in good spirit. Prime Minister said he's in scared. But we have to ensure that he is safe. We cannot dilute security. We cannot dilute security. And we will ensure that not only the Prime Minister, but we have to ensure that the staff here, employees here, are safe. And by extension, the Bahamian people. It's a no-no.
Questions?
What is the level of concern following what happened outside of Parliament? And
To my fellow Bahamians who are going to watch the rest of this and the questioning of this gentleman, I want you to pay close attention to the fact that Theo Seeley of Eyewitness News is the one asking almost all of the questions and the leading questions. And he starts out talking about the COI and trying to connect the COI to this. Something strange is happening at Eyewitness News.
linking what happened outside of Parliament to the calls today, do you feel as though these might be members associated with the Coalition of Independents?
We can't rule it out. That is a line of inquiry that we are following. We can't rule it out, not at this time.
With CARICOM fast approaching, what sort of additional security measures are going to be taken? Because it's not only going to be the Prime Minister, who's the chair of CARICOM, but we're going to have leaders from throughout the regional body. What sort of new security measures are going to be taken to ensure that everyone is safe?
Well, the team that is sitting in and making the assessment with CARICOM, that was always in place, but this now will only cause us to take it now even to a more higher level to ensure that everyone is safe.
What sort of action is going to be taken against the individual who was filmed in that clip, who would have, I guess, basically, in accordance with what you would have said, incited some sort of feelings or actions towards the Prime Minister? Any action to be taken from the police force as it relates to that individual?
Yes, that we're going to look at the laws, and wherever it fits, it will be thrown at him.
How do you investigate something like this with an anonymous call? Is it, phone tracing? What's involved with this kind of investigation?
Yes, that's number one. We're asking members of the public, those persons who may have information as to who the individuals is or who the individuals are, to assist us, and then we will follow through with technical equipments to try to identify the caller or where the call came from.
In your years on the police force, have you ever seen anything like this where threats of death have been made against the leader of the nation? And also, what does this speak to in terms of the type of climate that we are in right now, considering the intense protests that we've seen led by the Coalition of Independents? Yes,
we saw it happen a few times. This is not the first time the Prime Minister has been threatened. Every other day I'm being threatened. I don't take it lightly. It just causes you to be more focused as you move about. You should. So we are continuing to remain focused and to do what we have to do.
Outside of asking for public assistance, what are some of the technical methods that will be used?
I won't go in depth with what we are doing, but we have our technical crew on the ground with a view of trying to identify where the calls come from. I will not wish to go in depth as to how far we will go with it.
Well, Commissioner, I note as well, you talked about the plan being in place to protect CARICOM leaders when they come here, but are there any concerns? Because there have also been reports of persons planning to protest when those leaders come as well. Is that factored into the security plan?
Yes,
well?
Absolutely. That will be beefed up. We will remain focused with that as well.
We know that the Coalition of Independence is led by Lincoln Bain. He's no stranger to law enforcement officers. He's been taken into custody a few times. What is now going to be done, considering that a protest was led by the Coalition of Independence leader? 2 threats of death were made against the nation's leader. Do we now expect that the police force will call him in for a conversation? What sort of moves are going to be taken to ensure that this does not progress further?
Well, it was approved, a permit was approved for him to hold a peaceful protest down there. And at some point, I myself will invite him to my office to have a word with him because he have to control his supporters.
You mentioned.
I want everyone to pay close attention to that questioning just now by that devious young man saying that a protest led to threats. Did you hear that? That is complete defamation on the part of Eyewitness News. I'm going to play that again for you. Here it is.
Nation's leader, do we now expect that the police force will call him in for a conversation? What sort of... We know that the Coalition of Independence is led by Lincoln Bain. He's no stranger to law enforcement officers. He's been taken into custody a few times. What is now going to be done, considering that a protest was led by the Coalition of Independence leader? 2 threats of death were made against the nation's leader. Do we now expect that the police force will call him in for a conversation? What sort of moves are going to be taken to ensure that this does not progress further?
Well, it was approved, a permit was approved for him to hold a peaceful protest down there. And at some point, I myself will invite him to my office to have a word with him because he have to control his supporters.
You mentioned earlier in your remarks about the video that circulated on social media. Does this...
While we're there, I want to take a quick pause to deal with that statement because there are some people who called me making statements about persons who are at that protest and that I should control persons' mouths. Let me say this. Bahamians are angry. And a protest is just for that. A protest is for the purpose of demonstrating your displeasure with the government. And the rule of democracy protects your freedom of speech. I love David, who's in the Bible. He was not a perfect man and he sinned. He didn't get everything right, but he was one of the greatest kings, if not the greatest kings of all time. And David one day was he was riding on horse with his men, with his soldiers, and he was king. And a man they were passing started cursing him like a dog and cursing him to hell. And the soldiers were about to go and kill that man, and David stopped them. And he said, if I wrong this man, then he has the right to speak out against me. If God sent him to curse me out, then we can't touch him. That's the humility of a real and true leader, a real leader. He said, well, the fact is, David had killed this man's family. He had hurt this man, and that man cried out, and that man cursed him out. And David took it because he had killed that man's family. Bahamians are hurting. Bahamians feel that they are being wronged. Bahamians are disappointed that the Prime Minister took our sovereign wealth fund that could benefit all of us and took it and put it in his control and gave it basically to himself. Bahamians are disappointed that the Prime Minister is making excuses and doing nothing as it relates to this immigration problem. They are only repatriating illegal immigrants caught by the U.S. Coast Guard. They are not going into the communities and arresting anybody. It's a sham. And so Bahamians are hurting. And so if Bahamians decide that they are going to speak their truth and speak with their feeling, the Prime Minister should respect that, because the people shouldn't respect the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister should respect the people because he works for them. Democracy means the rule of the people. That's what it means. Let's get that straight. And I like how Hubert Ingham always used to try to explain that. During the BTC protests, the Prime Minister of the country, they threw bear and peanuts on him. It was led by PLPs, including Shane Gibson. They threw bear and peanut on him, and he told the police not to touch them. He is attempting to sell the people's utility, and they're expressing themselves. I was there as a police officer, and we were instructed to leave the people alone. I was there. And the people threw bear and peanut on him, and they cursed him. They insulted him for what he was trying to do. He was just trying to sell a utility. The Prime Minister of this country just stole our sovereign wealth fund that they say is worth trillions. They stole our carbon credits and gave it to FTX. Don't you think that is something to be angry about? On the other hand, I'm not responsible for the words of any adult. The words that I'm told that someone said took place before I was there. And it is not my duty to control anyone's words. I will say that we should be respectful to all our fellow Bahamians, including those below us, like the Prime Minister and the members of Parliament who work for us. The Prime Minister may be below us because of his position working for us, but we should still be respectful for him, just as we're respectful for every other citizen of this country. I'm going to let you continue to hear the Commissioner of Police.
Being true that you as the police will pay special attention to persons that have been posting. This is not the first time, as you mentioned, that we've seen a threat, but are we going to focus more on social media and these threats that we see popping up now?
Well, that's a part of our day-to-day investigation, to pay attention to social media and to act on certain things.
And is it only going to be, for example, in this instance, threats of death, or what kind of
No,
charges do we expect?
social media assists us with a number of investigation and cause us to arrest a number of individuals. So we pay attention. Social media is the devil, but at some point you have to pay attention, because you could find a lot of information is thrown out there that you could follow. You have to follow lines of inquiries. Either you reach a dead end or you could advance something from it.
Are you familiar with the news that another world leader would have gotten death threats today? And what's the level of concern from the police force that, like you said, it's not typically a part of Bahamian culture? What's the level of concern from the force that something that's happening internationally is now happening on our shores?
Yes, it's a big concern. I'm not aware of the incident today, but it's a big concern. You saw it played out in Haiti, where the Prime Minister, the President was assassinated. You saw that in recent time. And, you know, we Bahamians are like copycats. God forbid. God forbid. But we need now to stop it.
What's the plan in terms of, I guess, increased police presence? We've seen saturation patrols, we've seen the road traffic department, doing their thing. Now that the Prime Minister has had 2 threats of deaths made against him, are we going to see more roadblocks, increased police presence? What can the general civilian expect at this time?
This is a continuation for us. It's not just because of this incident. If you saw in recent time, we having a number of road checks, a number of operations out there, and which have been yielding great success. But not because of this incident, but we look at the threat level, and if it's high, we put extra security in place.
So that's my question. I know it's been there. We've seen it every night. Will it be increased now that these threats of death have been made against the Prime Minister?
It will continue.
And the persons responsible, once caught, would they only face threats of death charges, or would they face other charges?
Well, we will view what is there and look at the laws, and we will throw the book at them.
Now, I know you spoke about increased security details for the Prime Minister, but can you go into detail about what exactly does that entail? Will there be more security around his home and stuff like that?
I won't wish to go in detail with that, but we will look at the level, the threat level, and then we will place additional security.
So overnight, the threat level will be listed as high?
Yes, the threat level is high based on the calls that came in. It's high, so we now have to take it to another level.
When we talk about increasing the security, are there any concerns when it comes to manpower about where these police will be getting pulled from or pulled away from that they're already working on?
No concern about manpower. We working closely with our law enforcement partner, the Defense Force, so it's a combined effort, and we will make it happen.
Can you tell us what was said on cost? Is that information?
Not at this time. I don't wish to go into that.
I do have a question about the calls that came in. Obviously, you aren't able to determine the nationality of an individual based on a phone call, but I guess on the intelligence that you have available to you, we know that the protest that was held by COI is not the only thing that could have ignited these calls. We know that the Office of the Prime Minister announced this morning that, the shanty towns are also being addressed again. This is another issue that is, heightened emotions. Do we have any idea on what the possible nationality of the individuals behind these calls might be? Because it might not just be linked to the COI.
I can't say at this time.
But you are looking into the nationality of the individuals?
Yes, well, all of that is a part of the investigation.
What would make you look into the nationality of individuals making threats of death against the Prime Minister?
Well, based on the temperature, what is out there now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, we want to thank all.
Ladies and gentlemen, expect in the very near future to see a good cushy job somewhere. Maybe an ambassador, maybe they create another PR person in some other ministry for Theo Seeley, who is right now singing for his supper. There is I'll save that story for later. But Eyewitness News is attacking the COI viciously. It's under instructions because of a favor owed to Philip Brave Davis, to someone who needed a special passport to travel. We save that for later. Ladies and gentlemen, there you heard it from the Commissioner of Police. We'll pay close attention to see what cushy job is there for Theo Seeley. Something, I guess, is waiting for him. But again, in my hands is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And it is very clear that you cannot interfere with certain things. I won't go into this tonight because we've gone so long already. It says even protesters are allowed to push and block the road. It literally says that in here. It says in section 14, it says that there needs to be no notice. And the government is not allowed to force people to get permission. Even though every protest held by Lincoln Bain, we apply for a permit to do so, even though there's no law asking us to do so, and there's no law that allows them to give us a permit. It says it must be peaceful, but it says mere pushing and shoving or disruption of vehicular or pedestrian movement or daily activities does not amount to violence, meaning it does not mean that it is not peaceful. All right. It says that it does not have to satisfy any. This is section 16. It says that the protest does not have to satisfy any local laws that go against this covenant. Any local laws that go against this covenant that all these countries signed onto. It says if the peaceful protest becomes non-peaceful because of the actions of the authorities or the government, then it is still considered by law a peaceful protest, and the government is considered in violation. That is section 18 of this. It says that it must be in sight and sound of the target audience. So the people we're protesting to must be able to hear us, because sometimes they'll say, oh, you're disturbing the House of Assembly. That is wrong. We must be allowed to disturb the House of Assembly. The members of Parliament must be able to hear you if you are protesting to them. And so if you're having CARICOM must be allowed to hear you. It's international laws. And the government is not allowed to interfere. It says states are obliged, for example, not to prohibit, restrict, block, disperse, or disrupt peaceful assemblies without compelling justification, nor to sanction participants or organizers without legitimate cause. That is section 23. It says 24, moreover, states parties have certain positive duties to facilitate peaceful assemblies and to make it possible for participants to achieve their objective. The state must assist with all of this. All right. So it says political assemblies have a greater right than other peaceful assemblies. If it is a political peaceful assembly, if it is a political protest, it has a greater right. That is in the covenant. In fact, I actually would want you to see this with your own eyes. I want you to see this with your own eyes. So I'm actually going to pull this up for you while I'm touching on some of this. And I do this to educate you because we don't believe that politicians should just be talking to you anymore. They should bring proof of whatever they say. Because one thing that we know, politicians lie. They deceive with their words. And in the New Bahamas, we want an educated people. So this is what I'm reading from. This is the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. And this was updated on the 17th of September 2020. And this is what I've been reading from. Now on number 30 in this, you'd have seen some of the ones I've read already that I'm scrolling over. All right. And so it says political assemblies, I'm on 32. Given that peaceful assemblies often have expressive functions and that political speech enjoys particular protection as a form of expression, it follows that assemblies with a political message should enjoy a heightened level of accommodation and protection. Just so you see this, it says political assemblies or assemblies with a political message should enjoy a heightened level of accommodation and protection by the authorities. And so every time we have gone out there to speak out politically, they should have protected us, not attacked us, not hindered us. That is what they should have been doing. It goes on. Here it says, moreover, no one should be harassed or face other reprisals as a result of their presence at or affiliation with a peaceful assembly. And there should be it actually goes there to say that there should be no internet or digital interference, because you see what is happening when we go live. You'll see the interference, and it says the same applies to geo-targeted or technology-specific interference with connectivity or access to content. States should ensure that activities of internet providers and intermediaries do not unduly restrict assemblies or the privacy of assembly participants. Any restrictions on the operation of information decimation systems must confirm with the test for restrictions on freedom of expression. So in other words, your protest could take place by a live, and no political activity online should be interfered with. They did this, updated this in 2020, because now governments are interfering with people's social media and their lives. That is taking place. And so that was put in there for your protection. There are many more, there's much more to this. This is a very long document, and all of it talks about the protections. And again, it talks about the fact that the simple blocking of vehicular traffic does not mean that it is not peaceful anymore. The simple pushing and pulling, that's in 15. I'm actually going to pull that up for you because I want you to see that with your eyes, because some people may say, because the authorities come up there and say, hey, they were violent because they started pushing and pulling, and they were blocking traffic. Like sometimes police will say you can't block traffic. No, actually, the convention says you can block traffic, and the police have to just wait it out. All right, it says a peaceful assembly stands, this is 15, stands in contradiction to one characterized by widespread and serious violence, The terms peaceful and nonviolent are thus used interchangeably. In this context, the right of peaceful assembly may, by definition, not be exercised using violence. Violence, in the context of Article 21, typically entails the use by participants of physical force against others that is likely to result in injury or death, or serious damage to property. Mere pushing and shoving or disruption of vehicular or pedestrian movement or daily activities do not amount to violence. You saw it there with your own eyes. All right? And that's how it works. So this is the law. This is international law that we signed on to. International law. This is the law. All right? And so it also talks about collective civil disobedience and direct action campaigns. They are protected by the law. They are a right in democracy, and they are a duty in democracy. The people have a duty to demonstrate their will. Now, I'm going to, for a few minutes, open the lines for anyone who has questions. You want to ask something isn't clear, or you just want to express your disgust. What do you think? What do you think about the government and their dirty tricks? Their government wanting to interfere with democracy by by making it seem like there is a threat to the prime minister, which would cause them to have to heighten security. And they made it clear that they want to do heightened security at this event because they don't want the world to know that Bahamians are displeased and that Bahamians are against this illegal immigration. The problem we have with illegal immigration is because it's not just the movement of people. It is the movement of people, drugs, guns, and illicit money. And so our communities are being soiled. Our communities are being destroyed. These murders that are happening, they're connected to gang violence, drug violence. All of this is connected to the illegal immigration. You saw the boat landing in Crooked Island with illegal immigrants. It had a huge shipment of cocaine on it. Guns are now getting into our schools. Our children are taking them into our schools. We have to stop this now. We know that there are some people who just want to protect their political party they support, but this is beyond political parties. This is bigger than that. We have to protect our country. So the number to call tonight is 804-4264. The wrong number is being displayed. Call that one, 804-4264. Just for a few minutes, we'll take your calls and questions on how you feel about all of this. Call us. Tell us how you feel. We see hundreds of people on there. We want hundreds of you to share this. We want to see much shares going out there. All right. How do you feel about the government going straight to investigating on whether this is a COI threat or a COI related threat? How do you feel about the defamation by Eyewitness News? And we're going to speak to our lawyers immediately, where their reporter implied that this led from a protest by the COI, and he described me as being known to police, right? Not a stranger to police is what he described. That he tried to vilify me, and then to say that it was organized by me and it led to a threat. That is clear defamation of character. And so we're going to call on Sebastian, who's the owner of that station, to share some of his funds with us. He will get a letter first thing Monday morning from us. We demand an apology. We demand an immediate apology for what they are doing. And we're going to file a lawsuit against Eyewitness News for what they are doing. You may say it was a question, but it was more than a question. He was pushing a narrative that caused people to look at me in a certain way. All right, so I don't know if the phone is on silent. Let me make sure it's not on silent. Okay, call in if you're on here and you have questions, etc., and you want to let the government hear how you feel about this latest trick. Let them hear how you feel about this latest trick. And we're calling on all persons to boycott Eyewitness News. Please, let's boycott them. Let's not give them our attention. They are clearly now fake news, and they are clearly an evil organization. Good evening, you're live.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mr. President.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
You know what? It's a shame and a disgrace for whomever have threatened the leader of the nation.
Yes, it
Because
is.
the thing is, what we all have to realize that one day you will be leader also. And we have not grown up that way. You know what I mean? And so the person who expressed themselves towards the Prime Minister, Brave Davis, I would say to that person, maybe in the heat of the moment, you've said something that you didn't supposed to say. And I think that at these times, as you said, Mr. Bain, that we're all grown-ups and that we have to own up to our words. You know, and absolutely, you cannot, no one can hold you responsible for other person's reaction to the hurt and pain that these both administrations have caused the Bahamian people. And today I would like to say that I know that I'm not a part of a cult. I'm not a part of a movement that wishes harm and hurt and pain to anyone. Nor do I believe that the Coalition of Independent mandate is to assassinate, hurt, maim, shoot, chop, or whatever. That is not what I get from you. That is not what I get from the masses, persons that I talk to on a daily basis who don't believe in hurting anybody, but believe that we the Bahamian people should be protected in our own country. Our women, men, and children, boys and girls, should be protected. We should be taken care of, and we should have all the best opportunities that our country has to offer. Today I was extremely disappointed, even on the Steve McKinney show, that we have a person called the Pot Cake, who is representing the PLP every day and smashing and attacking you at every moment that he had an opportunity to do so.
Let me make this clear about the person they call the pot cake, Leslie Miller. Leslie Miller has been in problems for owing BEC $250 million. He is a cancer to the Bahamian people. He borrowed money to the tune of probably $30 million from Bank of the Bahamas, and Resolve had to be formed because of him. They took our money, our national insurance money, went to cover his costs. Of the cost of Leslie Miller, basically, I'm going to call it stealing from the Bahamian people. Okay, that is what happened. Because of corruption, corrupt persons got loans from Bank of the Bahamas. They use it as their piggy bank. They always find some new way to steal from us while they're in power. And Leslie Miller should not be allowed to open his mouth in this country. Leslie Miller was renting to the government the building. A hurricane came and damaged the building. He told the government that they have to pay for that to fix, and they have to keep paying their rent. He sued, and somehow he won that case, that court case, and says now the government owes him a bunch of money, which is disgraceful as a landlord to do that. Leslie Miller, we are told, now has some contracts all over this country. And we're told that Leslie Miller is now going to be housing several government ministries on that property that was Robin Hood, etc., around there, that they are going to be renovating that, and the government is going to be leasing from him. And the government needs to answer to this to say if this is true. They're going to be leasing from him, and he's going to be getting paid up to $100,000 a month renting to immigration and other ministries. And why is this stuff happening? Why are croonies still being paid rent? Why can't we just build a building owned by us? Why can't we build a building, a government official building, so you don't have to go to this place for and this department and that department and that department to do one thing? Why is Leslie Miller making all this money from Bahamian people over the years? He don't care about the Bahamian people. He cares about being in position to rape and rob us to get contracts, painting buildings, and doing this stuff. He doesn't care about us. And then he would go in a constituency and take a backhoe that he bought with our money and cut down a yard, some bush somewhere, and say, see, I'm in the community, I cut down bush. Bahamians, we got to stand up. We got to stop falling for these tricks. Leslie Miller should never be allowed to speak in this country again. And more contracts are allegedly going to Leslie Miller right now, and we're not hearing anything about it. the government is breaking the law as it relates to procurement because they should be disclosing who is getting contracts. But this evil government that has said that they're breaking the law because they're supposed to disclose who's getting contracts are not disclosing it. So they're keeping it secret, and also they are keeping our Freedom of Information Act from us because of what they're doing. We got to stand up.
Yes, another thing what I realized is because you touched on it briefly just now. Why don't the Bahamas government, both administrations have failed us greatly in not building a government complex where we have all of our government agencies at one place, where they can build a parking garage, like a 6-story parking garage, and you have a shuttle bus come and make it so that you can go to every government agency in one short outer compound that is protected and guarded by our military. It's a shame that we have to go all over the place, and the government is renting buildings from their friends, families, and lovers, and I believe that more than likely they're renting buildings even from themselves.
Yes.
Persons in government have built structures and having the government pay them rent, double dipping into people's money. That means our senior citizens are out there paying taxes, paying VAT tax for food. Isn't that a shame under this break?
Now, my brother got to take another call. The call is beeping, so I got to take another call. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good evening, you're live. Good evening, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I watched that clip that you showed about with the commissioner of the police speaking to media, and it was literally like a whole show in Hollywood that they put on, that they planned previously. In my opinion, that's what I saw. It was literally an attack on COI, an organization who is only fighting for the rights and the empowerment of Bahamian people.
Yeah.
It was garbage. And also, what I tell PLP followers is, instead of trying to fight against the empowerment of your own people, your own family members, even yourself, for your party. See, because this thing is way bigger than party right now, that what we are dealing with in this country. This thing is our country and the Bahamian people. Y'all need to realize that the PLP individuals, all PLP individuals, y'all have to realize that your leader just repealed our sovereign wealth fund. Why don't y'all address that? An opportunity for poor Bahamians, hurting Bahamians, to be able to finally live a little better. And Philip Brave Davis took it away from Bahamians? I couldn't believe that.
And they don't understand why Bahamians are cussing him.
I almost couldn't sleep last night because it was ridiculous that this man, who all the PLBs call a nice guy, would take such a wonderful opportunity from Bahamians, their children, to be able to benefit from our carbon credits.
Wow.
That's what I want to say, sir. And I want to encourage you, because I believe that you are chosen for a time as this and sent by the Creator to fight this battle. And you have many wise Bahamians, patriotic Bahamians, that stand behind you. I saw them put on that show today with the commissioner of the police and the eyewitness news people, and I completely saw through the entire thing, and I saw that it was a show. And President Ben, let me tell you something. Nobody will be able to touch you, because you are chosen by the Creator to bring the Bahamas into the new Bahamas, to bring the Bahamian people into the new Bahamas, because the Bahamian people have suffered too long. And that's all I have to say, sir. Blessings to you, sir, and continue to be encouraged and continue to stand firm, because the Bahamian people, the patriotic Bahamian people, the wise Bahamian people have your back.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. 804-4264 is the number. 804-4264 is the number that you can call in. We didn't intend to do a live. I'll probably take one or two more calls if you all are willing to call in, if you want to call in. In case you have any questions, don't understand anything, we are always here to do so. All right, so we go to the phone lines. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good afternoon. Good night, President Bain.
How you doing?
Pretty good. That's not a Bahamian thing. Bahamian don't do things like that.
No, they don't.
I chalk it up as that's someone international who tried to threaten Brave Davis. That's someone international have to be.
I don't think that's someone international. That is the PLP doing that so they can have an excuse to heighten security at CARICOM, because legally they cannot inhibit any protest. They would have to allow us, even if we have to come to the hotel lobby, they have to allow us. And so they know that, and they know the world will be watching. And so this is their precaution to find an excuse to do it. It'll still be illegal for them now to prevent us from protesting, but they know that with the international community watching, the Bahamas could be sanctioned if they block our protests. At every G8 summit, at all of those G20 summits, you will notice that protesters travel from around the world and they allow them to protest. They always have protests at all of these summits around the world. And so it would be embarrassing for the Prime Minister to see a protest here, because this protest is against what he has been secretly saying to CARICOM.
Well, actually, President Bain, I was being diplomatic. We feel the same way you feel. It's a group of us who was listening to it, and we do feel the same way you feel, President Bain. Bahamas people, please be out there for that G20, wherever this thing is, be out there and go online and order something called a megaphone or bullhorn. Order these things so they can hear us with more than just our voice. President Bain, I'm trying to order megaphones right now. And like I say, I support everything you're doing, and I look forward to following you and voting for you, President Bain. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. God bless. Good afternoon. You're live.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lincoln. How are you doing?
I am awesome. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm calling from, I've been what I'm calling from Atlanta, and everything what you say is basically true. Because we going through some things with some Haitians right up here. I work in the Sheraton Hotel across the road from Fox in Atlanta, Georgia, downtown.
Right.
And they have some Haitians on this side calling themselves behemoths. Now the things being done, I can't really get into it. Now we being pushed out, and I'm on my way back home based on another national calling themselves behemoths.
What?
Taking our identity from us. Don't know our pledge. Don't know our first prime minister. Don't know our nationality. Don't know our food. So we being gathered up into the conference, and now we being pushed out.
Wow.
Based on certain things, what they done. So it's a big conversation over here in the States with Haitians saying that we were behemoths. They calling us we. But if you hear them talk, they sound like us. Until you see they gather around, then they speak Creole. I think behemoths, what you're doing is so on point. But go even further, because now they being transported. They use our passport to get into the States, and they building up, pay close attention to the international side too. Because this is the reason why I get knocked with my position based on what they were saying to the Boston and things here, but even deeper. They making us feel like, okay, we doing certain horrible things to them over here, in Bahamas, and that's why they being over there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what you're doing now is like you are taking me that right now is the risk, because there's plenty of us that agree with you. And you have them over there pushing this us against them over there. And it's way more of them than us. Way more. It's way more of them than us over here. And I can leave you with this. They hate our guts. And I can say something simple to you. The humans got to start calling Haitians. I don't care how religion people take it, people who fight for rights. Stop calling them nice. Because if you look at everybody record, look at what they've done to their hometown. And as soon as you come over here now, I dare anybody to come over to the stage right now. And if they find out that you're a Bohemian, tell me what your experience will be. I dare anybody to do it.
Wow.
They're not nice people and their agenda is deep. And what you doing right now, I'm not there. But I being forced though. And I telling you where I work. The Sheridan down in Atlanta, across the road from Fox Theater.
Wow.
They just put us in here because they hear we discriminate. Where in the hell the humans is discriminated set of people? And if you listen to the chatter, the new speaker, for me, who didn't really was there for the protest, and I bring up my angle. If I listen to the news, you know there's an alert over here stating that you, Mr. Payne, they almost viewing you as like a terrorist or something based on the news snippet that we got over here. So I had to call. Be careful. Now, whoever that gentleman is, whatever you do, go through. They say that be weak, so I can give you 5 points and I can leave you. They say when the even talk, there's no action behind it. So that those whatever that is you plan to do, you do it too. That guy, whatever you say you can do to the guy in the news reporter, expose him for what he really is and find out what his position is. 3, whoever's Louis George or whatever, his presence is known on this side. Expose him for what he do. And 4 and 5, they tie into each other. Stop saying that you don't hate Haitians. You beyond that. Don't make no apologies for what you're doing. I leave you, do not make no apologies. They know what they doing. You know what you're doing. It ain't have nothing to do with hate right now. What you're doing is on point because I feel you in Atlanta, they feel you in Miami, and they feel you in North Carolina. Please stop with the apologies. Because if they get their way, everybody saying, oh, Haitians are good people. I can say it out, and I can say it out loud. No, they're not. They came into the back door, you treat them as that. I leave you with that. And the only thing I can say from foreign, they cost me a high position job that I have to come home to, right?
Wow.
And I can never let that go. And I promise, I don't know you, and I can track you down when I get there. But it's horrible. And the one thing I don't want you to do, you can do it if you want to. Do not say, Haitians, oh, I know some good, and you beyond that. If you pass that, you might not believe, because take the snippets of what they say over here. But the guy who's saying, come from your party and this and that. Heed to sometime. I don't know you. But I like what you're saying, because people calling themselves behemoths over here, and then when they start to talk, now they're Haitians when they reach over there and saying what behemoths doing over here. What is we doing? Please make me understand what it is we doing. There's nothing nice inside that rice. Stop saying there's nothing nice in their rice. They come over in the boat, they come in everything that the Bahamas is dealing with right now in the Bahamas, it's not because of behemoths. It's because of one nationality. Everything was overburdened, every problem, and it transferred over there now. You keep your course, but your tongue, like I said, you can tell you got that little Christian in you. Sometimes you got to go David, my friend. And like I say, you have all the right to defend what is behind you. Brave David, and I say it loud, don't know him. All I know is the party push him wherever he is. If somebody steals from me, and cost me my own time with this carbon credit thing, I hear that from you. Why in and this lovely Miller person, he got to whatever he dealing with, you can see where he loyal. So all them up in the 70s and stuff like that. You keep your pushing because you for the young people, and nobody can feel my pain. When I hang up from you, you might say, oh, you're little, whatever. But I was in charge of the production kitchen. No longer. Because a man say to my boss, that I come from a country that is vilified. That's
Wow.
all I leave y'all with. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for your call. We appreciate it. Texas on social media are loving you and loving what you are saying. And And I'm loving you and loving what you are saying. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to stand up for our country. This is the only country we have. And the time for talk is over. The time for diplomacy is dead. We have to stand up for this. We've given this government 60 years to get this right. But all they did in that 60 years was make billions and billions of dollars for themselves while raping and robbing the Haitian people and raping and robbing the Bahamian people. It's the last call I'll take. Good afternoon, you're live. Hold on, wait, I couldn't hear you. I'll take one more call. I see a beep coming in. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hey, how you doing?
I am awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to call and say I didn't want to you come because I just had to laugh. No, I just had to laugh. I'm like, if you just keep $9 billion from people, what you think you're going to do? So what you think they was you think that you just can't walk off into the sunset and people just got to that's okay? No.
Yeah. How do you thief $9 billion and think people ain't gonna cuss you?
I mean, you know how much money that is? $3,000 to $2,500 a month. You know how I can change people's lives with money?
Wow.
And you can just take the money and take it and nobody can say nothing? Come on, what you thinking? What were you slaves on the plantation? You was my son? What?
Wow.
Come on, man. I mean, that's just what you left. I mean, I'm surprised you say there's lots of people around.
Yeah. Thank you for your call, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. I see another call was coming in. 804-4264 is the number. 804-4264 is the number. Listen, man, we are going out and we are going to take on these uncircumcised Philistines. As we've said, the Philistines are at our borders and they want to take our land. The barbarians are at the gate. We cannot let them take our land. And King Saul was fearful. King Saul was afraid. He didn't know what to do. And a little unworthy young man had to come forward and take on the Philistines. The Philistines have a champion, and his name is Philip Brave Davis. And he's fighting for them, as he promised. But we are going to fight for the Bahamian people. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hi, good afternoon.
You're live, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to call in reference of the video of the commissioner.
Yes.
Well, what I saw was a skit, just like the previous caller. I mean, we have to look at it and we have to watch them closely and watch what they say and watch what they do. I feel like from you mentioned the COI leader's name and the COI party and the protest, the peaceful protest that was held, I felt like, plus under the like death threats of the Prime Minister, I feel like that was a play.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I feel like we have to stay focused on the vision. You know what I mean? You have a lot to offer, Mr. Bean. You have a lot to offer in terms of the Bahamas. So we have to just stay focused. So that's my opinion, and I love to say thank you for the youth.
Thank you.
Because we watch him.
Thank you. Awesome. And spread the word. Spread the word.
Of course.
All right. Bye-bye. I see another call was coming in, 804-4264, 804-4264. Listen, man, we are in this fight, and we are going to make this happen. This is going to happen if you spread the word. They are suppressing media. They've bought out media. They've bought out media. They've bought out media. We are living in an actual dictatorship. They are violating our rights. Good evening, you're live. Hold one second, we can't hear you yet. Good evening, you're live.
Good evening, Mr. Bain. Listen,
Yes.
the Bahamian people are pissed. They stole our carbon credits. We are pissed.
Yeah.
We want it back now.
Yeah.
It is not acceptable. We will not accept it. So give it back. It's not for your family.
Yes.
It's not for your children. It's for the Bahamian people. How much people out there are homeless? How much people out there are hungry? How much people out there could use that $3,500 a month
Wow.
to pay a bill or go to the doctor or deal with their situation in their home? And he getting a salary, getting kickbacks, and still you want to be a hog and take what's for the Bahamian people? We are pissed, and we're not going to let it go.
Yes.
We're not going to stand down. We're not going to be distracted. So, Fernanda or Commissioner, go sit down. CEO Sealy, go sit down. We will not accept this. Y'all trying to pin something on the COI? How y'all get his name in this? He didn't make any threat to y'all. The Bahamian people didn't make any threat. Brave Davis, go quietly or get kicked out. You and your cabinet. Good night.
Thank you for your call. The commissioner says he's going to call me in to see me. I have no problem seeing him. When the commissioner was put on leave, almost fired by Dr. Hubert Minnis, no other person in this country stood up for him except Lincoln Bain. No one spoke to the wrong that Dr. Minnis was doing because people were afraid he was too powerful. I was the only person who spoke up and said that what Minnis is doing is wrong and it should not happen. How do you take a senior police officer, an assistant commissioner of police, and send him to be a security guard at the girls' industrial school? It was an insult. It was wrong. And I had the courage to speak out against it because it was wrong. No one else, not even Brave Davis, had the courage to speak out against what was happening to Clayton Fernanda. I did. I always speak truth to power. Good evening and live.
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Ben?
Yes.
How you doing? I think you're doing a very, very, very good job, and I commend you on that for being able to stand up for us, right? Good night. Now, in reference to that Prime Minister today, do you feel that because now that he promised the Asians what he promised them, and now that he is trying on destroying the shanty towns and Abaco and stuff like that, do you think maybe that call could be from them?
Can you repeat it? I couldn't hear you clearly because the phone was beeping.
Okay, what I'm saying is now that he promised the Haitians that for the election, he gave them his words and his promises to whatever to gain votes. And now that he's planning on destroying, because I saw a post where he's planning on destroying the shanty towns in Abaco and a few in Nassau. How you know it's not them calling now that they're upset that now that he went back on his word now trying to get them out? How you know the caller wasn't from them?
He doesn't know. How does he know that it isn't Sam Bankman-Fried angry at him? How does he know?
Exactly.
How does he know?
Continue to be 9 times out of 10 is probably from them because that's not a Bahamian nature. But you never know what it could be. But it has nothing to do with the COI, and you continue to do a good job. Be safe, be careful, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for your call. I see the beeps coming in. You can call right back now. The line is available. We are being told that Fred Mitchell may be angry at the Progressive Liberal Party. He may have done that. We keep hearing these every morning, these vitriolic voice notes from Fred Mitchell where he's calling people names and being very vicious on a daily basis, but he may be angry because we're told that he's not welcome at the Pinland House. They're not accepting his calls, and he can't come in their yard because of what he did to Lady Pinland. And so I think it's well deserved. But Fred Mitchell, if you want to speak to me, if you want to see me, meet me at the Pinland's house. I just wanted to let you all know that I think some people should know this. I think it was my great-grandfather and Pinland's mother were first cousins. Baines from Acklands. All right? So I am directly related to Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinlin on his mother's side. All right. And so they say she had two sides, but I'm directly related to Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinlin on his mother's side, Baines or Macklins. It's my grandfather or my great grandfather, Charles Bain, and her and his mother were, I'm told, first cousins. All right. And so what that generation didn't finish, we are going to finish. What that generation started, we are going to finish. We are going to get this done. Good evening, you're live.
Good night, Mr. President.
How you doing?
I'm all right, and you?
I'm awesome.
I just called in to say the commissioner police got to be able to eat mine. He got to be able to say, you didn't make no threats to nobody, Mr. Ben.
Yeah.
Anybody threaten anybody, he can come call you to lock them up. How could he do such a thing? You think he in his right mind?
No.
You think he can come on the national TV and say such a thing like that? Well, something got to be wrong in this country, man. Something got to be wrong. You ain't threatening nobody. You man tell me this, man. They're going to steal all our common credit. What else they can do to us?
I don't know. But we got to stand up. We need our men to stand up. We need our men and all of our Bahamian citizens, especially our men, to stand up. We got to get this right. We need the Bahamas to come with me to CARICOM and protest. Again, it's going to be a peaceful protest. We're just there to let the world know that we do not condone the words of Philip Brave Davis, that the Bahamian people are resolute to determine to solve the crisis in Haiti. I mean, that's laughable.
Hey, thank you. I find it so unbelievable to understand that the PLP and these people don't want us to stand up for our own country. How the hell you could come here and defend these people? They have big problem over there. We have our problem here. And now they looking out for them. But we have people sleeping in old car, Lincoln. People sleeping in old car. People ain't eating. Now helping people every day, man. And they're going to be spending the ice in there. You can break down all of the people them. They'll have to get them in Marshall. They break them down. They got 10,000 million charity towns and you won't try to break them down. You know, I mean, what they think these Bahamian people is, what they really think we fooling. The COI got to say, not commissioner of defense, he need to go sit down. He need to go relax his mind, boy.
Thank you.
It's no way he can come at people, he can come at you for what somebody else thinks.
Yeah.
That's important, you know?
Yeah.
Anyhow, you're going to be good way, man. You're doing well, man. You know, you're going to be the next president. We know that. We don't know that. All right?
Thank you, man.
All right.
804-4264, 804-4264, 804-4264. Just reading some comments and stuff put up here by the PLP is trying to attack me and Maria now. They are so comical. They really think we are grandparents' generations. Bahamians aren't falling for your tricks, guys. Good evening, you're live.
Mr. President, how you doing?
I'm awesome.
Listen, I watched the broadcast tonight with the commissioner and like everybody said, it was like fake news, man. It's like watching a skit.
Wow.
You know, like a script. And you know, let me say this much as a young Bahamian, I'm my early 30s. When you look around the town and you see what happened, you pay attention. There is nothing here for the average Bahamian.
Nothing.
If you look at the exodus of people that leave, you know how much family, how much friends that already moved to Canada, who moved to Canada, moved to the States, because it's like you literally here fighting for minimum wage jobs, and you're fighting against you know, migrants, you know, whether they're legal or illegal. There's only a limited, you know, job pool because of how, you know, the industries are designed. You know, tourism is the only bread basket, so that only gives a limited amount of jobs. So it can only go on for so long before things begin to become obvious, you know.
Yeah.
So, this is why I was out to the protests 2 weeks ago. I didn't make it to the one this week, but I was on the live. And I tell everybody, this is not a game. It's not a joke. Like, you have to see what is going on. And if we, as the citizens, if we can't voice our concerns, peacefully, if that's a problem, we are in problems of the country, because that's the tenet of democracy. We're not a dictatorship. We're not a communist country. We have freedom of speech. We have to be responsible with our speech, but we have freedom of speech. We have the right to express how we feel. This is not about racism. This is not about xenophobia. This is about us as Bahamians preserving our cultural identity, our country. Nobody has a problem with Haitians. Haitians have been a part of our culture for well over 100 years. I have hundreds of Haitian friends. I went to school with Haitians. I work with Haitians. Bahamians of Haitian descent. It doesn't matter to me, but we have to come to a point where we say, okay, we're helping you guys out. It's no big deal, but we have to also make sure that our people are good, and that's what we're trying to get across here.
Thank you.
Like I said, I just want you to know that I'm behind you. My family is here. We see you. We could see through the fake news. Mr. Keeley was such a letdown, man. Like, honestly, it was disappointing. It's infuriating, but it's also disappointing to see the games that we've been reduced to politically.
Yes.
But I just want you to know that, you keep it up. I'm going to be, if we're doing this thing for CARICOM, let me know. Let us know.
We are doing this for CARICOM. I am announcing it now. We will go to CARICOM. We will let the international community know how we feel. We will let them know that we are displeased that Bahamians are being kicked off their own land, that the Bahamian government brought military in for their own people on our crown land, but they wouldn't dare touch the Haitian people. That they are doing everything to benefit them while attacking and mistreating their own Bahamian people. Now, remember that media travels with all of these leaders when they travel. So the media from Jamaica, Barbados, and all of these countries are going to be there and present, and they're going to want to know why these people are protesting while CARICOM is going on. And so we need to get their attention. So it's going to call for all of you to come out. It's going to be peaceful again. We always do it the right way. It's going to be peaceful. Please come out. Let's stand up for our country. Let's get the attention of the world so that they know that we want the guns, the drugs, and the people to stop being smuggled through our country. We want America to know that we're not against immigration. We're against illegal immigration. And we're against the drugs being brought through our country and into their country. And that's being allowed to stay in our country. We are against this criminal ring that is being aided and abetted by our government, clearly. And we want to see change. And maybe after this, our defense force boats will start catching the illegal immigrants again.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you again, Mr. President. It was really nice speaking with you.
Thank you. Same here, man.
All right, have a great one.
Same here. Thank you so much. The phone is ringing, 804-4264. I just wanted to quickly hear this. I know people were trying to call in, but I want y'all to hear what Fred Mitchell had to say. Let me take this call. I want you to hear from Fred Mitchell. I'll take this call and then play that. Good afternoon. You're live. Good night. I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I mean, my thing is this: when it comes to the immigration issues in our country, and don't get me wrong about not being against illegal immigration. Our country, any immigration in the for that matter, we only have a certain capacity in this country to facilitate the people in our country. The resources are not there. What is the cap or the cutoff point? If you have a car that only holds 5 people in it, you only have an extra seat. That means your daughter, your son, your wife, and you. You might get over one extra person. So where are they going to go? On the roof? On the hood? I'm just trying to figure out. So with all the conjecture being thrown around, we have to have some form of strategy or a situation to deal with what's already here. Regulate what's here. Then move on to any other aspect of what we could cover. And it's like we putting the cart before the horse in a situation. Let's find out what's going on now. Stop everything. Deal with what we have right now. Then see what more we could do. If we could even do that. Because people have leaving this country left, right, and center.
Yeah. We are being replaced as a people. Thank you for your call, man. All right. Let me just let you hear Fred Mitchell quickly. I'm going to fast forward to the part where he talks about us. I really don't like listening to the voice of, but I just want you to hear what he had to say. And there's a case from 1980 that we're going to investigate. Of of a pedophilic nature that we're going to investigate. It doesn't statute bar, but we'll talk about that some more another time. There's no statute bar, so we don't care if you're 85. We don't care if you're 90. We're going to investigate that. All right. So a young boy was lured, kidnapped, and raped by a politician in 1980. All right. And we are going to investigate that. And we are going to send that politician to jail for that young man who is now a grandfather. But he could not get any peace because that politician, because of his position. I'll tell you more about that later. We got all the facts. But anyway, in the meantime, let me let you hear from Fred Mitchell, aka the Sodomite.
Not using the FNM's fuel hedge strategy by BPL was not responsible for the $150 million no use to BPL. And the finance.
Let me just fast forward that a little bit. I see you on the call. Just hold the line. Just hold the line 1 sec as I play this clip.
Did not follow that bad strategy.
Sorry, he's still talking about BPL. Hold on 1 sec.
Get twisted to win with all the wicked untruths they will. Any assertions to the contrary about that F&M fuel hedge strategy are lies from the pits of hell. Again, it was sickening to watch the slack security in and around the House of Assembly, where a small group of noisy protesters were able, for something like the third or fourth time that I've tried to get into the House, to be impeded by protesters. Protesters have rights, but so do members of Parliament.
He said a small group of protesters. Let me correct this for you, Fred Mitchell. We've counted, and we've gone through our pitches, etc., and we've done some work. We've counted more than 900 persons who attended. And we know that they are so terrified that they want to spread the word to people who couldn't see that, oh, it was like 80 people. It was like nobody. There were an amazing amount of people there. And I want to say that I'm so proud of the Bahamian people because they turned out. There were people on the bleachers behind me, and most people are measuring by that. But there were also people on the side of the bleachers, and some went under the bleachers because they were hiding from the sun. There were also people across the street by Gucci, and on the other side, opposite Gucci, there were persons by CIBC, and there were persons standing by Scotiabank. And so we calculated a total of about 900 at the most at one time, but more than that came through because people were coming on their lunch break and leaving. So we just want to say that we're proud of the Bahamian people, and the fact that they're making these comments shows that they are afraid. Who hindered Fred Mitchell from going into the House of Assembly? No one has ever hindered this man from going into the House of Assembly. This is an evil, demonic man. And they continue to lie on this organization, but their lies will not work. Let me play some more of this nonsense for you.
Senators. The Constitution gives a right of a senator to free speech and access to Parliament. What is even more shocking is the two of the miscreants, aka the Nazi twits, who are not in the House of Assembly, whom we know has propensity for violence, with the cabinet ministers, prime minister, and MPs sitting in the House. This seems inexplicable. These patient haters and Zika folks are paid for by as Cuban minister supporters. And just as Dr. Miller showed up to disrupt the moment on Wednesday, these protesters were paid to support his efforts to disrupt. It must be exposed for rent a crowd. Ministers must go. Michael Pinto, do your job and stop.
So the sodomite is saying that we got to rent a crowd. 1 minute they're saying we don't have no money, and the next minute they're saying we could afford to rent a crowd. They're saying that we would have paid people to come out there. That's absolutely ridiculous. They need to make up their minds and decide which one it's going to be. They are desperate. The difference with our movement and their political movement is Our people are not looking to get paid. They're looking to get this country changed so that they can get what belongs to them. That's the difference with our movement and anything that they have ever done. And they don't understand it. That's why they call it a cult. I don't know where they get that from. Because we don't want people to follow us blindly. We want people to do their research, their own research. And they call us a cult because they can't understand that people can actually hear about this country and be able to do stuff without wanting to get paid, without trying to get paid. These political parties can't understand that. Let me go to the phone lines very quickly. Good evening, you're live.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you for holding.
I'm surprised that someone would actually take the opinions of peaceful citizens. Our nature is not violence. Our nature is peaceful. And we respect each other. Never ever stop. Have I ever heard anyone from the Prime Minister to the on that? And this is the first time it ever happened. Whoever made that threat, severely, yes, it is so. But I honestly don't believe that it's a natural dawn authentic human here because right now we are overcrowded with all kinds of people from different cultures, so we're not sure who all are amongst us. So we are not really safe in our own country, and that's sad. So I am of the opinion that whoever made that threat should be dealt with.
Yes, definitely. And if they find a real person who made that threat, I can almost assure you it's going to be some PLP person paid to just make that call.
Yes, because this Bahamas, we used to be safe one time ago. We could sleep with our doors and windows open. Now everybody trying to get dog or some kind of protection to protect themselves because, you're just not safe anymore.
We are the prisoners now. We are living in the houses. Yes, we are living in the houses with burglar bars. We are living behind bars now. We are the prisoners. We have to live behind gates and behind bars. Look at what is happening.
Children are not even safe no more to walk to school on the streets. And that's sad. That never happened before. So this illegal problem really needs to be dealt with. There's no space here in this little Bahamas for it to be crowded like this. I mean, you go in the stores, you go in the hospital, you can't even find food now because, there's so many people here.
Yeah.
This is a small country. We have less than 500,000 people here, and we have people amongst us whose nationality is like from 13 million. You come from a nation with 13 million people to live amongst a small nation, a peaceful nation. We don't believe in voodoo and witchcraft and those stuff, and they all here now on our island.
Well, stand up. Make sure you are there.
They do not like that. It's disrespectful to our culture. It's disrespectful to the Bahamas as a nation.
Yeah. Make sure you're there at CARICOM and let's stand up.
Expeditiously.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate it. There's a culture that is in Haiti. Again, not all Haitians are part of this, but it is a culture that is in Haiti, and some of those people could end up in the Bahamas. I'm not saying this to scare you, but this is a reality of kidnapping children. I lived in Haiti. I'm telling you what I know. There's a kidnap culture in Haiti. They kidnap adults for ransom. They kidnap children for other reasons. And that's to do with rituals, etc., etc. We have to protect our children. All of a sudden, listen, Bahamians ain't into kidnapping no children. We don't even want a responsibility of our own children. Bahamians will not kidnap children. I'm telling you that this, I'm not saying none were ever kidnapped, but that's not our culture. There's a culture of kidnapping that you're going to start to see because you are sitting down and doing nothing. Your children won't be safe to walk home from school. Remember, I told you this. They're going to start covering this stuff up because they don't want you to panic or realize what's going on. Your children will not be safe going home from school. My dad used to drive a mailboat. When I was young in primary school, my dad had a mailboat that went from Nassau to Haiti. He is a big, huge ship. and he ran the mailboat from Nassau to Haiti and back, and he refused to take me with him because he said, "Listen, they kidnap children there. I cannot take you. I want you to see everywhere." He would take me everywhere his mailboats went. When school wasn't open, and sometimes when school was open, I missed a lot of school, I would be with him on that ship learning how to be a sailor. And he would take me everywhere except Haiti because he said they kidnap children. You are going to start to see this kidnap culture here while political trolls make excuses to what is going on. They are good Haitians. I don't want you to think that every Haitian is going to kidnap children, but the bad ones are getting in Bahamas. The same about hate. This is about a reality. Our children are in trouble, and y'all are afraid to stand up. Be with me to CARICOM. We're going to find out the location, etc. We may even plan to stay out there for the full 3 days. CARICOM is February 15th through 17th. That's 3 days. And we may plan to stay out there the whole 3 days. Either come every day or we'll sleep out there for the whole time to make sure that we get their attention and make sure we know what's going on. We'll give you an update by next week on what's going on. We're also applying for our permit to be out there to protest. All right. And we're going to send information. We're going to send letters to all of the international media to let them know that we're going to be there protesting and to let them know that our government is against democracy and they may try to break international law by banning us from protesting, or that they may use some excuse of fake threats against the Prime Minister in order to put up barricades to push us far away from where the event is. They won't stop us from protesting. They can't legally, but they'll push us far away and say that there's a threat. All right. I got a call on the line, and then I want to show you something. I want to show Fred Mitchell something after this call. Good evening, you're live.
Good night, Mr. David.
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm fine. My position with the whole matter is they are saying that the Prime Minister received threats. They're not stating what the threats are, who made the threats, where the threats came from. If the threats came from police control room, those calls are recorded. Release those voices over the news and use the behavior people to identify who the person is. If they're truly serious about what they want to do. I do believe it's a sham. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. I believe it was a sham, and again, I told you why they're doing it, because they can't break international law by not letting us protest. Now, they have restricted protests in the Bahamas because they know Bahamians don't know the law. And so they've done it, and they know Bahamians probably won't sue or do a judicial review, etc., or appeal to the United Nations. But they know that the United Nations watching this may decide themselves to take action or sanction the Bahamian government. So they have to have some excuse, and that is why they are doing this. And so I just wanted to, let me see if we had a chance to upload it. I just wanted to show you, the last thing I want to show you. Let me show this to Fred Mitchell. Fred Mitchell. This is the small crowd you were talking about. This is one side of the world.
Davis got to go. 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 Davis got to go.
I came out on a weekend. Never seen a crowd of this on a weekend.
Davis got to go. 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 Davis got to go.
So this was
Davis got to go. Davis got to go.
Proud of you. So Fred Mitchell, that one was for you. Okay, we lost that caller, and that's it for the night. We did 2 hours. I only intended to do about half hour, but we ended up doing 2 hours. And so I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You must stand with me. stand with me. We are going to CARICOM. So we'll let you know the details in the coming days. We're still going to demolish Ashanti Town. And so stay tuned. If you're not in our WhatsApp group, please get in one of our WhatsApp groups. Call that WhatsApp, that same number, 804-4264, and let them know you want to join the WhatsApp group so you can be informed of what we're doing. We can't put all our information out there to the public. So make sure that you're informed by being in one of our groups. Good evening, you're live. You're the last caller.
All right, good night, Mr. Dean. I ain't got the door, but nothing much. Only thing I want the government to know is we need to know where the money from the Ligna Variety Tree is, and we need it.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Remember I tell you that on the protest?
Yes, they're making money from our lignum vitae tree, and in fact, that's supposed to be a protected tree.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a protected tree, and it's been getting export from the Bahamas since before 1942.
Yes, it was.
That being way back from London, Finland, them times, so I don't know where the money is, man. They don't say nothing more that, so where the money is.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're using that money to keep renting these offices, what they renting, and they won't buy no building to put government offices on or whatever.
What are they using the lignum vitae tree for?
Well, the lignum vitae trees get used for a numerous amount of things. It's a medicinal, it could be used for medicinal purposes.
Yes.
It's called a tree of life. They use it to make barons. They use it to make mounts. They use it, to make a whole bunch of things. What they put on cars. A whole bunch of parts, what they put on cars, they use the lignum vitae tree bark to make. So, if they're using a whole bunch, the lignum vitae tree to make a whole bunch of cars, to assist in making a whole bunch of cars, then that means some way, somehow, they supposed to at least get a couple of them cars sent to our island after they transship our lignum vitae tree off, or they supposed to show us where the money for the lignum vitae tree going.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you for your call. They are making billions from our flora and fauna, and we get nothing. But yet, Lincoln Bean is selling dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, CARICOM is on the 15th through 17th of February. And so we are less than 2 weeks away. It's on the 15th through 17th of February. And so this is what the government's dirty trick is all about. But we are going to send them a notification that we will be there. We're also going to send notice to the media from around the Caribbean to let them know that we're going to be there and why we're going to be there. We have to stand up for our country, and Bahamians were attacked, viciously attacked by our government. They brought out military and guns, etc. They hindered us at our protests, etc. They gave the illegal immigrants every advantage that they took away from Bahamians. And we're going to make sure the world knows that we want our prime minister to mind his own business. All right? He told Pinta to stay out of his business. But you need to mind your business, which is our business. You need to do the job we give you. And the job we gave you is to solve the crisis here in the Bahamas, not anywhere else in the world, to solve our crisis. But you didn't fire it anyway. We just letting you work out your little couple of days. We letting you work off your little extra days. You're already fired. We've had enough because you're not interested in our interests. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Please spread the word, spread the message, share this live, and make sure you remember that this is only going to happen if you make this happen. We're getting closer and closer to the new Bahamas. Every time the clock ticks, it's the new Bahamas that's coming closer and closer, where our children can come home from the United States, from Canada, from everywhere else in the world, and we can build a place where they want to be at home. We're going to change this entire system. It's going to happen. It's happening now. The government is in a panic, and they're making themselves look stupid every week. It's a new idiocy by this government, a new set of lies by this government, because they're afraid that the new Bahamas is here. Philip Brave Davis, give us our sovereign wealth fund. As a warning, the new Bahamas is coming whether you like it or not. But if you try to steal our sovereign wealth fund, we got some silver bracelets just for you. Leave our carbon credits and our sovereign wealth fund alone. So finally, the Commissioner of Police, I need you to contact Simon Freedy is in California if you need his address, and you can question him to see if he had any beef with the Prime Minister. Need you to contact Samuel 90 Knowles. He's in the state penitentiary. I think he's in Atlanta. And if you need help finding him, we can help you. You can question him to see if he had any beef with the Prime Minister. You can contact the one surviving person who robbed the Prime Minister's house. We can help you find that person if you need them, or we can direct you to the graveyards where the other ones are buried so you can see if there's any evidence. We can see if there's any need to question them. The Weisfish brothers, the $100 million caper, you can contact them to see if they have any reason to want the Prime Minister dead. We can assist you with talking to the Weisfish brothers, contacting them to see if they have any information that might be good to you. The Sheikh Karachi, you can contact him and see if he has anything to say. We don't have any contact for him, so you're on your own with that one. Peter Nygaard, he is in a state penitentiary in New York. We can assist you with finding that one if you want to know where he is. And again, that was another criminal smuggling ring that went down, and he was friends with this government. So you can contact all of these persons. We can help you contact them. I guess when we meet, I can give you what I know in terms of contacting all of these various persons who are suspects in this Scooby-Doo mystery. Who threatened Philip Brave Davis? This is a Scooby-Doo mystery, and we're going to pull the mask off of the culprit. But I believe when you pull the mask off of that culprit, you are going to see a member of the Progressive Party, or maybe even Philip Brave Davis himself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned. Contact that number, WhatsApp, and let them know that you want to be in the WhatsApp groups so that you can get information on what we're doing and when we're doing it. Thank you for tuning in, and we're going to start compiling all the evidence that the commissioner might need. I'm going to have tea and crumpets with the commissioner as soon as possible so that we can start to investigate this Scooby-Doo mystery. Who threatened Philip Brave Davis? Was it the person who was no stranger to the police, Lincoln Bain, and the COI? The ridiculousness and idiocy has gone to epic levels in this country, and the media has fallen to a state of being complete garbage. Remember, boycott Eyewitness News. Don't even watch them. All right? Don't even watch them. All right? Don't even watch them to figure out what they're saying. Totally boycott them. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, see ya next time. I'm going to leave you with this little song that my brother sent to me all the way from Cuba. He said, Lincoln, you got to play this song. You got to make sure you put this song up in there. All the way from Cuba, one of our sons of the soil told me that, Lincoln, this is the song. Play it for them.
Davis got to go.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, Lord, I'm so sorry. Where did it go? And people are still calling. We're done for the night. See you on Sunday. Why did it stop?
I never been down with no OPP. I talk about selling our people's property. Don't know who doing it, so don't round me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shut. mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our heart. Hey, hey. Ride it. But always say we can find it, don't you? Ride it. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be? Selling out for Bible rights and a cup of tea. You know what this but me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand. But I can fix this. I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people.
The song keeps stopping. They selling our country. They selling everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, on Sunday I'm going to be live at 5 o'clock, and we want you to make sure you're there. We're going to call for the resignation of Keith Bell and the Prime Minister, but Keith Bell, and we're going to show you video evidence of why he should step down. Did you hear me say video evidence of why he should step down? Sunday, when they attack, we attack back every time. See ya next time. Change ain't coming.